Hi everyone, Al the Psych here. I have a video for you today for informational purposes only, and I've entitled it Putting Problems in Perspective. So as a therapeutic tool that I've used in the past, and I use it for myself as well, one of the things that I like to do uh, is to put a troubling situation in perspective. So now how do I do this? Well, what I like to do is compare my situation with a situation that is much more extreme, much more difficult, and much more troubling. Okay. And there are a lot of real life situations that can be used, as well as novels that borrow from real life situations. And one of my favorites novels um to use as a comparison to help me realize that my trouble that I'm going through is small by comparison is The Grapes of Wrath. Um, and I especially focus on the end of the novel because I think it's just such an excellent example of resiliency and human compassion. Okay, so I don't know if you know the novel or not, but I'm going to give you a teeny tiny little summary. So the novel focuses on the Joad family, and they're making the trek from Oklahoma to California during the Dust Bowl days. Okay, now you really have to read the book, or at least the Cliff's Notes, to understand the hardships that they've endured during the trek. And it's just one thing after another, things that you would think would just break a person. Okay, there's torrential rain, miserable conditions. On top of all the hardships, one of the people, Rose of Sharon, is her name, or Rosa Sharon, as maybe they actually say it, is pregnant, and she goes into labor. I think they're sleeping in a boxcar at the time, or something to that effect, that's leaking and everything. Unfortunately, the baby is stillborn. And despite this, despite her condition, the Jodes still have to travel on to find better shelter. Things are just miserable. And the last scene is where the Jodes stop at an old barn to seek shelter from pouring rain. And in the barn is a young boy that is with his father. His father is weak, and his father is dying. He has not eaten anything in days and days. Now, the next part I'm going to read to you is actually taken directly from the novel. Okay, so suddenly the boy cries. He's dying, I tell you. He's starving to death. I tell you. Hush, said Ma. She looked at Pa and Uncle John standing helplessly, gazing at the sick man. She looked at Rosa Sharon, huddled in the comfort. Ma's eyes passed Rosa Sharon's eyes and then came back to them, and the two women looked deep into each other. The girl's breath came short and gasping. She said, "Yes." Okay. Ma smiled. "I knowed you would, I knowed." She looked down at her hands, tight locked in her lap. Rosa Sharon whispered, Will you all go out?" The rain whisked lightly on the roof. For a minute, Rosa Sharon sat still in the whispering barn. Then she hoisted her tired body up and drew the comfort about her. She moved slowly to the corner and stood looking down at the washed face into the wide, frightened eyes. Then, slowly, she lay down beside him. She shook his head. He shook his head slowly from side to side. Rosa Sharon loosened one side of the blanket and bared her breast. "You got to," she said. She squirmed closer and pulled his head close. "There," she said, "there." Her hand moved behind his head and supported it. Her fingers moved gently in his hair. She looked up and across the barn, and her lips came together and smiled mysteriously. Okay, so just look what's happened here. Rosa Sharon, who's just lost her child in childbirth, um, moves to this new shelter um, right after that unfortunate incident, and finds a dying man in the shelter in the barn. And what look what she's done. She's just lost her baby, but she seizes the opportunity um, to save somebody's life. Okay, it would have been very easy to give up, and to feel sorry for herself, and who would blame her? Okay, um, yet she intuitively recognizes that there's nothing she can do about her baby. She's able to let go of that traumatic event, or would be a traumatic event for many, and she very easily could have catastrophized the situation. Instead, she sees this as an opportunity. She looks at Ma, and they kind of have this sort of simpatico thing going on, and they both realize what needs to be done. So talk about resilience and human compassion. This is like the epitome of resilience and human compassion. So, I find like if I have something that's bugging me, remembering a scene like this just helps me put my trouble into perspective. I don't mean to downplay what I might be going through, but I want to put it in perspective. And even if my trouble is significant, I can still use this scene, as a motivator to get past the trouble. So I hope that was interesting, because I just really like that novel, and it's sometimes you get a lot of good therapy out of good novels. And if you're looking for something to talk about resilience, where you're taking a lot of hard knocks and you're getting knocked down, but yet you keep on getting up, this is one of those novels. So if you haven't read it, it's not the easiest read in the world, but I loved it. And if you've read it before, if it's been a while, you might want to read it again. Okay, that's it for now. Thanks.